Hello and welcome to the Live Oak International. It is our second class of day one of the Jumper Tour here at the 30th anniversary Live Oak International, the only show that brings together combined driving and open jumpers up to the World Cup level. Our Longines FEI Jumping World Cup qualifier will be on Sunday, and in order to get there, our riders will be lining out in this afternoon's Longines World Ranking class. And this world ranking class, with the course set by Olaf Pedersen Jr., is going to give us a time allowed of 84 seconds, 12 obstacles, 14 jumping efforts for them to take on in a class format of table A speed. So one round of jumping where faults and time over that single round will be the deciding factor. And we've got 44 who are going to start. One or two riders running two horses in the class. We have just the 40 riders at the show. Jordan Coyle, winner of the Leon World Cup qualifier this time last year, is going to go first. Flor Giraud, Flor, who was the runner-up in the earlier class, the two-phase. Jennifer Gates with Capital Colnado will go fifth, just in front of Daniel Coyle. Karma Godek, who's here with two horses this week. Hunter Holloway, Jens Bachmann, the twice winner of the Herning Grand Prix. Connor Swale, GK Coco Chanel goes 12th. Coco Chanel, Connor's top horse for this Tokyo Olympic year, hoping to make the selection for the Olympic team. Chloe Reed in Super Shuttle. We saw Chloe jumping well with both of her horses in the two-phase earlier on. A career winner of the Longines World Ranking class here, Adam Prudhomme. We'll see him in the middle of the order. Two-time World Cup winner over the winter season, Adrian Sternlicht, Benny's Legacy. Jordan Coyle's second ride for him. Bertram Allen and Gunpowder. Bertram, who was the winner of the Royal Agricultural Winter Fair World Cup qualifier in Toronto. Georgina Bloomberg ran this horse to Lara Colemine in the earlier class, now comes out here to look for a big win here on day one. Rowan Willis and Cartouche, we saw him as well. Devon Ryan and Caspers Nicino. Devon just has this one horse at the show. Margie Goldstein-Engel and Decas, we didn't see Margie earlier on. This will be her first class of the show here this weekend at Live Oak. Erin Ballard, Canadian Championship rider, also going to go in that part of the draw. Jenny McAllister back with Betita PJ, horse that's given her a couple of good results. Nicky Galligan, the Irish rider, has been based here in Florida for a couple of years with his top horse. And Hunter Holloway, VDL Bravo S, will be our last to go for the United States of America. Hunter, who didn't do badly at all in that earlier two-phase competition. So the temperature's just gone a little bit up since earlier, 22 degrees Celsius, that's 72 Fahrenheit, and the humidity just dropping a touch. The chance of rain down now to just 30%.
Once again, welcome here to Live Oak International for 2020. We're about to pick up the action with another of our international jumping competitions, and this one is vitally important for those athletes that want to progress forward into the Longines FEI Jumping World Cup Ocala. As the title partner and official timekeeper of the World Cup Series, Longines has the great pleasure to be associated with today's highlight. Longines' passion for equestrian sports dates back more than 150 years, and today the brand is involved in the most important equestrian events all over the world. The watch here in Ocala is the new ladies model from the Conquest Classic Collection. Elegant and sleek.
So we get
Latest
underway
creations
in this
are both-
Longines FEI Jumping World Cup pre-qualifier class. One round of jumping, faults and time the deciding factor. So we'll get a result every couple of moments throughout our just over 40 to start. So Jordan Coyle and Aristov are going to lead the way here. Jordan, as I mentioned, won the Leon World Cup qualifier in Florida, in Mexico, this time last year. He was on the Irish Nations Cup team at T-Bird in Canada last year, and has been a podium finisher in the two-star Grand Prix at Globals Mexico in the past. Aristov getting right up in the air over the first couple on this course. They come down from the Ocala Oxer on the line, reverse line from before the Fleur de Lis, down then to the Lugano Diamonds. Just see that Hickstead rails there waiting for them at number 12 as they run up this line. 4 to 5. Again, we actually just have exactly the right amount of athletes to fill the available places in the World Cup on Sunday, so there's no actual qualification aspect to this class. But every horse and rider that wishes to contest Sunday, they must complete the first round, or in this case only round, of a Table A competition, which is one of the reasons you saw a lot of people retire after the first phase and the two phase, and why we'll see some riders like Jordan and Aristov just go steadily here in what is billed as a Table A speed. 84 seconds the time allowed for Jordan. Just needs to be a little bit conscious of that. Coming here to the NetJets triple bar and now on towards the last. So he's into time and clears those Hickstead rails. Standing the, maybe not quite meter 50. Meter 50 is the height to which Olaf can build this course today, but the Hickstead rails are a tricky enough jump. He might not have taken them all the way up to the maximum on day one of the show. Jordan Coyle and Aristov, though, have 2 for time. 89.71 the time taken and 84 seconds the time allowed. So Kerry McCahill is our next to go. Kerry with her own Charlie Chaplin S. Kerry has Charlie and Westbrook with us here at the show for 2020. Actually saw her with the Aurelia horse that she got from Kevin Stout earlier on as well. Kerry's just moving on a little bit more. That is it's a horrible fence. Number 4, it's a little, very skinny, solid yellow fence just coming off that turn. Not jumped too badly for our first 2 to go over this Live Oak Oxer and across the ring. These are the red fences that were originally the 1-2 up the ring in the 2 phase. They now become an Oxer vertical double. Just sneaking inside the Hickstead rails, and I mean there isn't necessarily the room or the time to be going around, especially not if you don't want to finish too far down the order. The measured line for the time allowed is actually around number 12, the Hickstead rails, but Kerry came inside and has just taken an absolute disliking to one of the most familiar fences on the course, the Longines vertical. I mean, we see those poles at every single Longines show, but Kerry McCahill and Charlie Chaplin are eliminated whichever way you look at it. It's second disobedience or the fall will mean that they take no further part in this Longines FEI Jumping World Cup pre-qualifier. And for Kerry then with Charlie Chaplin, she'll be looking to finish the first round of another competition yet to be ready for Sunday. Flor Giraud is our next to go. Flor with Dabreau's Ulisque de Tunis. As we say, Flor, who's been jumping the U25 tour down in so Flor Giraud, Ulisque de Tunis. So Flor, runner-up already today, sneaks inside number 9 on the way, just gives you a view of that with a very, very skinny plank on top. It is a real tricky fence with such a skinny width on it, means that every element of it is incredibly light. Flor just has the head and eyes over here to the live oak. It's quite early days for Flor to really know what sort of pace she needs to be doing to be competitive in this class. She was a little bit later in the draw when it came to the 2 phase earlier on. But she's ridden a lot of classes, just paddles at that, a little bit too far off it. So we have yet to see our first clear round. They will, of course, come as Flor Giraud jumps and then stumbles a little bit on landing over that triple bar, so ends up just having a bit of a drive-by at the last. And I think, no, she's carrying on. I thought she must have just been adjusting her hat. I thought perhaps she had put up the hand and was electing not to take the score. It's 8 for jumping, 2 for time for Flor Giraud and Ulisque de Tunis. How quickly things change. Second in our class earlier on today, and now 10 penalties here in the meter 50 table A speed. Andre Tima and Chakaria. Andre with their horse management and marketing's Chakaria by chap 4-7 out of an Ascari mare. Andre, many times a Nations Cup rider at the very highest level for Germany, and 3 times a winner of the Hamburg Derby. A very, very interesting class if you ever get the opportunity to watch it on live stream or TV at the Klein Flottbeck. One of the biggest and toughest derbies in the world, and an absolutely unchanged course since its very earliest days. Doing well here. This horse is just wobbling a little bit on the line, which, when you have these absolutely set and precise distances for which the riders really need to be on their mettle and on their plan, it's just making Andre's life a little bit more difficult. But of course, you do sometimes get that because Andre is not flying, but he's on the front foot. He's leaning into this in terms of speed. Because at the moment, a clear will set the standard, and Andre wouldn't mind being a decently fast enough clear. So he is going to sneak inside the last on his way to this vertical. And actually you can see then what an angle it puts you on. So you can see then the question that Kerry McCahill was originally asking her horse really reaches for that back bar, because they were a shade off the perfect takeoff spot. But this is our first clear in 76.13, Andre Tima and Chakaria. So Jennifer Gates is our next to go with Evergate Stables Capital Colnado by Coleman. Jen, who's finished up with her Global Champions League team over the summer to return to New York and carry on her studies, but that hasn't really stopped her from the World Cup season here in North America. She's been out and about most weekends. She was top 10 at the National Horse Show in Lexington, Kentucky, and 6th in Columbus, Ohio, for a good hatful of points so far. And if she could strike well this weekend in terms of our Sunday class and the points on offer, she could move into the qualification zone for Las Vegas. Does a nice job there, just actually moves across the fence in the air. It's not a super wide oxer, so the opportunity to do that. Harry Smulders, who's up here working from the ground with Jen, is unlucky. Difficult to judge that from absolutely head on, but you imagine she just made up a little bit too much distance inside the double and got close onto that vertical again. She just knifes across a shade on that Longines vertical, as Jen has the opportunity here at the moment to be in a good place on a fast 4 faults, and this has the potential to be faster than Andre Tima. Yeah, 75-22 for the former US National Under-25 champion Jen Gates, Capital Colnado. The best of our fours, and that's currently in third place, because of course Jordan Coyle had that score of 2 just time faults at the beginning of the class. Yeah, exactly what happened. Just ended up close in, took it in front. You see Capital Colnado's ears go back. He doesn't like touching the rails. None of these top show jumpers do. Daniel Coyle and Farrell, his winner from the Langley, British Columbia leg of the World Cup Series. Daniel riding for Ariel Grange, the fantastic Lothlorien of Canada owners that Daniel has had for several years. But he has the rail off the first on course. So he is now in a competition with Jennifer Gates for third. Andre Tima will stay as our leader. That's guaranteed. It's clear also, I mean, Daniel's naturally quite a fast rider, but he's just not necessarily looking here with Farrell to challenge Jennifer Gates to be one of the fastest fours today necessarily, and this proves it in spades as he goes out around the last on his way back to this Longines vertical. He just wants to give this horse that has proven himself capable of winning a World Cup qualifier a nice start to the week. And I thought he had turned inside that triple bar. Actually, just difficult to judge where we were in the ring there for a second off the camera. So he is 89.68 on the clock. It's 4 for jumping, 2 for time for Daniel Coyle. So that will go behind Jen Gates and into fourth at this very, very early stage. So Andre Tima has jumped clear. He's the one to beat, 76.13. Jordan Coyle jumped clear with 2 time falls. Jen Gates had the fastest round so far, 75.22, and that was with an unlucky pole coming out of the solid red double over on the right-hand side of the ring. So Natalie Dean and Jewel van der Quackenbeek the 11-year-old by Cicero out of a Quidam de Revel mare. Natalie was the individual bronze medalist at last year's Young Riders, was on the winning US Youth Nations Cup team at Deerridge a couple of weeks ago, and the winning US team at the Youth Nations Cup finals in Belgium last year. Natalie's straight away, you see that she's just having a little bit of a cut at this. If she stays clear, she could be very competitive with Andre Thiema's time of 76.13, and you can tell that straight from her approach to the first. Just struggles a little bit for rideability around that, but a great Scopy horse then just is able to step over that yellow fence. They were slightly in trouble there on the distance, but again, it's a partnership. They made it work, and that question doesn't even end until you jump the Ocala horse properties. Look at that. What an angle across the Live Oak Oxer. So 76.13. Andre Thiema should be looking to his laurels here. Super horse, like quick in front, very, very effective behind as well. Really make sure the hind legs get up and clear these jumps. Natalie and Jewel push out of this corner again. Those that do push, they find themselves just taking off a little bit further away from that triple bar and reaching for the back. Look at this time, 69.74 for Natalie Deal and Jewel van der Quackenbeek, and that is going to take a little bit of beating. Natalie and Jewel are out in front at the moment, and our first sub 70 seconds time. Clear in 69.74 for the current lead. Of course, as well as the lion's share of $36,600, there is valuable World Cup points on offer at the moment, and Natalie, one of the top 10% of ranked riders in the world, but a top result in a ranking class like this could really change her world ranking. So just the one ride in this class for Karma Godek. Karma, a rider who split the Puissance at the Central Park Horse Show a couple of years ago. Karma straight on the angle across the first. He's actually just thrown a shoe there between 1 and 2. So the first part of that double at 5 are down as well, but on this turf, this grass surface, it's very difficult to keep going and maintain the balance, especially at speed, with essentially 3 wheels on your wagon. Goes out, much wider than other people have been to that Live Oak fence. Now it's just about supporting the horse. That's tough because, every time the horse just feels the lack of traction in that quarter, you're just knocking its confidence a little bit. And as the rider's job, if you do need to carry on, is just to try and give that confidence back to your horse each and every time and try and make sure that you're getting into the best possible spot in front of every jump. Takes a little bit of a run at this and goes on to the Hickstead rails. And they go down as well. So it's 16 jumping faults for Karma Godek, and continuity here in the world ranking class. Just see there onto the fleur-de-lis fence the shoe coming away. Actually, I think they might have lost 2 unless they kicked the same shoe again, because there was one went left and one went right, I think, unless, as I say, they trod on the shoe and sent it spinning in the other direction. But initially one was going away towards the big screen, so they might have lost 2 in quick succession. Sean Jobin and Darius is on course now for Canada. Sean, who was riding in the 4-star World Cup Tour at the Royal Winter Fair last year, took 2 top 10s there. And this is Sean's first international of 2020, riding for Foxridge Farm Stables with Darius by Varant. Just a hard rub going in over the vertical at the candy stripe double. Just boots out that vertical, unfortunately, for 4 faults. Sean then very quickly just picks the horse back up, tries to balance the canter and get a little bit of bounce and jump back into it. The same token, he's also moved up a gear. Jennifer Gates, 4 faults in 75.22, but that's not going to be catchable for this combination. So Jennifer Gates will stay as our best 4 faulter in 4th position. This is 4 faults in 78.91, so that goes behind and into 5th. Just get this replay of the head-on angle through the solid red fence, and you know, it's interesting the choices being made with colours here in some of these courses as well. There's a lot of solid coloured fences out there. The Ocala Horse Properties has those solid white rails, all solid red there. Of course, the black Hickstead rails that we see here, and there's also that yellow fence at number 4 with the very, very light yellow plank at the top. Hunter Holloway and Lucky Strike. Lucky Strike, a Holsteiner bred by Lucino, the mare out of the thoroughbred Sir Shostakovich. Hunter McClay champion a couple of years ago, had a very good run through the Great Lakes Equestrian Festival in Michigan in recent seasons, and then spent most of last year, 2019, producing sort of the next generation of horses, jumping some of the smaller classes and tours on the international circuit. Gets a nice, neat turn back to this yellow fence. This horse, Lucky Strike, just picked up so nicely for her there after number 3 to sneak inside and get back to the yellow fence at number 4. So we're looking at all the inside turns here, but I think that Natalie Dean was a little bit more on the angle across there. And perhaps overall just had a little bit more foot speed as well. Hunter Holloway and Lucky Strike looking for the clear, but I think 69.74 might be beyond them. Good spot there at the vertical, though. They were right across it. That'll shorten up their rollback to this triple bar. And coming on down to the Hickstead rails. This is actually good. Ah, it's gone. 68.87. She actually had done it, but the last goes down, so considerably faster than Jennifer Gates to take over as fastest 4 faulter, and that is into 4th place. But Lucky Strike and Hunter Holloway were deceptively fast in comparison to Natalie Dean. Natalie looked a little bit like she was working for it to deliver 69.74. Hunter Holloway looked like she was very comfortably within herself there to get a 68.87 across the ground, but very brave spot there at the triple bar, there's no doubt about that, and that will have saved them a touch. So one of our 2 German riders at the show, Andre Thiemer, here as well, but this is Jens Bachmann. Jens with Carmen. Jens owns and rides Carmen, the 15-year-old by Kornert Obolensky. Amongst the older Kornert horses, Jens, a winner of the Grand Prix in recent years at Munster in Germany, and also, as we've been saying, winner twice on the bounce of the indoor Jumpers Grand Prix at Herning in Denmark, 2018 and 2019. That double is riding tough for them today. Jens is the third or fourth rider for sure to have had the rail down, the vertical coming out of the double on the long side in front of the VIP. It's not going to be a terrible time. Hunter Holloway 68.87, Jen Gates 75.22 on the 4, and he will go between them. 73.19 with 4 faults for Jens Bachmann, and Carmen will go into the top 5 at the moment, into 5th place. Still just 2 clears. Natalie Dean, the fastest, holding the lead, and Andre Thieme in 2nd on 76.13. But 69.74 is the fastest time around this course, set by Natalie Dean, and with it, the all-important jumping clear. Yeah, just off the 2 strides, the horse a little bit looked beyond the fence and jumped at the top rail rather than over the top rail. Connor Swale, our next to go. Connor with GK Coco Chanel, riding for Vanessa Mannix. GK Coco Chanel by Clarimo, the Holsteiner stallion ridden to the very top level by former European champion and Olympic medalist Rolf Jordan Bengtsson. Connor just gets a bit deep into the Lugano Diamonds fence, but he was thinking about that turn, wanted to get Coco Chanel around the turn and try and chase down Natalie Dean's leading time here. Nations Cup rider at Spruce Meadows last year, winner in Canada of the World Cup at T-Bird a couple of seasons ago as well. Is actually not in a bad time. He is maybe 1 or 2 seconds slower than Hunter Holloway. So this could be coming home for a 71-72. Let's see what he can do though on this final bit. If he keeps the pressure up, it's going to be better than we thought. Connor Swale 68.97. He's just in front. He's 3/4 of a second faster than Natalie Dean. So Connor Swale goes in front. It was already an Irish win today for Jonathan Corrigan. Is Connor Swale going to make it an Irish double here on day 1 of the 30th anniversary Live Oak International? GK Coco Chanel and Connor Swale become the ones to beat as we find ourselves just a little bit over a quarter of the way through the field in this Longines World Ranking class. Well, the winner of a world ranking class here in recent years and runner-up in the World Cup here back in 2016, Chloe Reid with Super Shuttle. Of course, this is home ground for Chloe. Her mother, Juliet W. Reid, and her uncle, Chester Webber, the co-presidents of the event. And Super Shuttle and Chloe are having a little bit of a go. They're hustling. They just get a tiny bit caught up in that turn. Chloe then keeps the pressure on and rides the horse positively out of the turn to pick up this line. All the way up to the Ocala horse properties and gets on this next inside turn. The intelligence of these horses, they know, and it's sometimes something the course designers use against them, particularly in jump-offs, is dummying them into thinking that they're going to serpentine over a fence. They're going to take off from one direction, land going in the opposite direction, and when you reverse that, then you can sometimes dummy the horses, and it's the rider's job to keep them going in the right direction and ready to stay on that same loop, for instance. 58, 59 seconds. This is incredibly fast from Chloe Reid. Look at this, 63.23, a brilliant round of jumping. So Chloe Reid and Super Shuttle are going to take a little bit of beating here, I think. 63.23 on it all the way around. Connor Swale's leading time set just moments ago bested by over 5 seconds, 5.74 seconds, so 5 3/4 seconds faster. Chloe Reid around this Olaf Pedersen Jr. track. Olaf Pedersen Jr., who will be the designer for the World Cup finals this year as well. But here it's this beautiful grass arena at Live Oak that is the canvas on which he paints. Anna Christina Ganzauer, Delgado van Neerhof by Nagano, out of a Darko mare. Anna and Delgado were fourth in the two-star Grand Prix at Global Champions New York last year on Governor's Island. Anna Christina jumping in North America for 6 years now, and a regular visitor to us here at the Live Oak International. And Anna Christina with just the one horse at the show, thinking a little bit more about jumping it clear on day one rather than chasing down some of these very, very fast times. So we've already seen it go one of the outside lines. And carrying the rail now as well. So Hunter Holloway, our fastest four-faulter in 68.87. Back rail off that oxus. The first time it's gone down there in the corner with the big water tray underneath. And Anna Christina goes out super wide here around the fleur-de-lis to get a nice run to the triple bar and the last, the Hickstead rails. Karina Fredericks and Cheese WZ. Early rail, unfortunately, for Karina. Anna Christina Ganzauer finishing a moment ago with 12 for jumping 1 for time, 86.96 on the clock, with an 84 seconds time allowed. I tell you, Karina with Ballywater Farms Cheese actually did some pretty good work against the clock in our earlier two-phase competition. But the second part of the double is down. And the water tray as well. This is turning into quite a big score, unfortunately, for Karina. Well, another 13 fall to 12 for jumping 1 for time, this time for Karina Fredericks, one of our 5 riders from Canada at the show, Cheese WZ. So the rider who led off the Open Jumper Tour here earlier on in the two-phase, back with us now with his own Sligo Ballyboy boy, Michael Cairns for Ireland. Oh, swing and a miss, unfortunately, at number 3. So quite a big and dramatic early 4 faults for Michael Carins. It's going to leave us with those 4 clears leading affairs. Chloe Reid, 63.23, a time beyond anyone else. I mean, it's 5 3/4 seconds faster than Connor Swale, who's in second. Natalie Dean in third, Andre Thieme in fourth. Well, the early rail and then 1 for time for a total of 5 for Michael Carins and Sligo Balu Boy. Good enough for 10th at the moment. We've seen just over 15 starters. Our winner of a world ranking class here in recent years, Adam Prudhomme. Adam with Plain Bay Farms Ballotinu. Second Balu de Roue in a row after Sligo Balu Boy a moment ago. Adam has 20 points on our standings in World Cup action at the moment, having been third at Thermal out west and also picked up points at Columbus, Ohio. As well as a career World Rankings class winner here at Live Oak. He's also won a Longines World Ranking class at Deerridge, the venue for the Longines FEI Jumping World Cup Qualifier of Wellington. And just a little bit of a shift across the Hickshead rails to finish with Plain Bay Farms Ballotinu. Adam Prudhomme gives us our 5th clear round of this Longines World Ranking class. Time of 72.29 is going to put him 4th on the ranking. Andre Thieme down to 5th. Natalie Dean still in 3rd. Connor Swale 2nd. And Chloe Reid 5 3/4 seconds faster than Connor Swale for the lead at the moment. So on to course comes Daniel Coyle. Second ride for Daniel. This time it's Ariel Grange's Ballyheron Bay Star. Irish-bred 9-year-old. we've seen plenty of problems at that double, but very few at the first part of it. But that is where Daniel Coyle has his fault. So 4 faults in a time of 83.86, just a shade inside that 84 seconds time allowed. So Daniel Coyle goes into 11th position. So Katie Dinan, Atos Del are next to go. Katie is right there in the qualification zone. She's 25 points on the league. After a third at Gold Cup, Katie was the runner-up at Washington in the 2018-2019 season of World Cup as well. It's not long since Katie was North American Young Rider individual gold medalist. But in her young career, she's been on major Nations Cup teams. She's been top 10 in the likes of the Longines Grand Prix of Great Britain, the King George at Hickstead, and also 4 times a World Cup finalist. Well, a couple down on the final line for a total of 12 for Katie Dinan with Grant Road partners Atos Del, the 10-year-old by Apache d'Adrier, and of a Papillon Rouge mare from the Sol Francais stud book. So Adrian Sternick and her double World Cup qualifier winner, Benny's Legacy, the 12-year-old by Lupicor. She really clicked with this horse. She's only had it since the beginning of the winter season. Unfortunately, just not got the best spot into that live oak oxer. They'll paddle through the top of it, and Adrian will unfortunately be decanted. So elimination for that fall, but both clearly up on their feet. But a tough go around, unfortunately, for Adrian Sternick and Benny's Legacy.
63.23, that's still the time they've got a chase, and Frank Hendricks is next to go. Frank Hendricks on numerous occasions of roll last year. He's got a 12-year-old mare deal. Frank Hendricks to the medal.
So Frank Hendricks and Dio. We've been riding this horse internationally since just the middle of last year. They showed in the couple of weeks of the international tour at Bromont, just outside Montreal. Frank and Jody Hendricks Dio, 12-year-old mare by Cardento. Remember, Chloe Reid, the majority of our clears have gone, there's real inside lines. Frank Hendricks here going the outside line, just trying to stay in shape. Little bit of hard work through that double, but back in shape for the Ocala horse properties. Goes out wide here again, going out around the Ocala Marion County Oxer, which is the first on course to find their way back to Live Oak. Again, Frank just wants to be sure of this double. We've seen a lot of riders knife across that Live Oak Oxer, getting themselves on quite a short approach into the double, and we've seen a lot of problems at that double. There's also an inside turn to be had inside these Hickstead rails, coming to this vertical, but that again puts it at quite a sharp angle for the horse and rider to jump across to find a good approach to this. Now, a lot of competitors, whatever their approach has been, have been landing quite steep behind that back bar. Frank has actually found a very, very nice spot for that triple bar. He is just into time, 84 seconds to the time allowed, 85.09. Frank Hendricks and Dio are clear for jumping. They have one for time, and they go into 6th position. So second ride in this Longines World Ranking class for Jordan Coyle. Jordan with Celtic Park LLC, Centrico Volo by Centadel. Irish Nations Cup rider Jordan, brother of Daniel. Rare to have the two brothers, both World Cup winners. Jordan with his win in Mexico last year, he gets this inside line here, back to the yellow fence. Daniel, winner a couple of seasons ago, the Palm Beach Masters World Cup, and then taking the T-Bird leg at the beginning of this season. Again, is Jordan just necessarily going that fast? Whilst he is taking all these inside turns, but 63.23 is an astounding time from Chloe Reid. And Jordan is in a good place time-wise. 51, 52 seconds passing the Hickstead rails was earlier on competitive. It was where Connor Swale was to deliver a 68-second round. But here, Chloe Reid's time has already been and gone as he jumps the NetJets triple bar. 71.02, it's clear for Jordan Coyle, but 71.02 will go into 4th position. It'll push Adam Prudhomme down to 5th. Natalie Dean, though, stays in 3rd. Connor Stoyle 2nd, and Chloe Reid remains our leader of this world ranking class. That's where we are at the moment. 63.23, exactly 5 3/4 seconds faster than Connor Swale. Natalie Dean very close behind Connor. Jordan Coyle now just a little bit behind in fourth. Adam Prudhomme fifth. And we have 6 clears at Andre Thieme just outside that top 5. Well, next to go, Gunpowder and Bertram Allen. Gunpowder by Ekenun van het Lindenhof. Bertram's been winning rings around him at the Winter Equestrian Festival this year and going home quite a lot to Europe and jumping a string of horses there as well. Bertram was a 3-peat winner of the Stockholm Indoor Grand Prix. After that show moved to the Friends Arena. Bertram's always had a great eye for a jump at pace. He won a lot of speed classes. Rushed a little bit through that. It's a tough 2-stride distance inside there. And now Bertram goes out wide. He knows there's no real way to catch up with the very best, because as well as the 6 clears, you've got 7th place filled by a time penalty, 8th place filled by time penalties, and Hunter Holloway is not a slow 4-faulter at all in 9th. Suddenly it's 8 faults as well for Bertram Allen with the triple bar down. The Hickstead rails stay up in 73.92, but 8 faults for Bertram, and that will go down the order. It looks like 16th position. Carlos Ramirez, Extra de Sequoia for Colombia. Carlos and Extra here and there, and actually had a good result earlier on in the 2 phase. Carlos will know this horse inside out, whether he wants to go down deep in the gas tank here, and he's not going deep in the gas tank because he's going out wide. He's just here to jump this round of metre 50 fences and ensure he's got his qualification for Sunday. A shame there, because he had all the opportunity in the world to just be that little bit more careful on his approach and striding down into that double. Only the second or third to have the first part of that red double down. Plenty have had the second part, the vertical, on the out. Hickstead rails as well for Carlos Ramirez and Extra de Sequoia. Outside the time for Carlos, so it's 8 for jumping and 1 for time. So on we go to Vanessa Mannix. Vanessa owns and rides Valentino de Elt. Valentino, the 11-year-old Saint Francais by Castronom. That's a Nations Cup rider for Canada. Sits well up on the Western European League with 28 points, but actually for Canada it's about winning points. Whether you're registered in the East or West Coast Subleague, it is the Canadian riders who have achieved the most points coast to coast in North America that get the first eligibility for places in the World Cup final. Same for Mexico. For the US riders, it's 7 East Coast riders, 3 West Coast riders, for a guaranteed 10 US riders at the finals. They're still clear through that tricky red double for Vanessa and Valentino de Elt, connoisseur with whom she has trained. Lying second at the moment with his good horse GK Coco Chanel. Vanessa just, it's a nice spot there across that vertical on the way home. And fingers crossed this comes home for a clear, and it will be clear round number 7. They push that rail and they're just on those flat cups on the way home, so easy to have that rail. But 78.86 for Vanessa Mannix with the clear will go 7th of what is now 7 clears. Well, next to go, Georgina Bloomberg, out of her New York base with Talara Colemine by Coleman. Georgina, who was the first ever winner of the Central Park Horse Show in New York and had a very good final day of the Global Champion Show in New York just last September on Governor's Island. Yeah, twice World Cup finalist, is very, very keen to go and wear the red coat of the United States at the finals in Las Vegas once again. But with only 23 points on the league so far, this weekend of jumping is absolutely critical to Georgina. This takes a little bit of a look back, having had a hard rub at the Ocala Horse Properties fence. Again, George just isn't going massively for the time here. This is about jumping clear with Talara Colemine. And unfortunately, that's not going to be the outcome as both parts of the red double go down. And Georgina just one-handed here at this show with just this single ride for the week. So coming home with just those 2 parts of the red double down, and it's going to be into time and the last go. So 12 for jumping, 1 for time for Georgina and Talara Colemine here today. US Pan American Games medalist. Scores 13. Tanimara Maria Macari Carrillo is our next to go with Faminka. Faminka, the 10-year-old mare by Verdi. Verdi, the Dutch championship jumping sire, that's only just retired from Michael van der Vleuten's string in Europe. It's our rider for Mexico here, jumping the U25 Tour down at WEF this spring, but they have the Lugano Diamonds on down early on course. Faminka and Tana Maria were contenders in the two-star meter 45 Grand Prix at Global Champions Miami last year, and also lined out for the Mexican Youth Nations Cup team 12 months ago at Deer Ridge Farms in Wellington, Florida. And Tana Maria was the winner of the Grand Prix on that occasion. To see again, we had incredibly strong winds yesterday, still quite breezy today. You can just see a little bit of dust blowing across the Grand Prix arena. So 2 to jump, carrying the 8 for Tana Maria Carrillo and Faminka. Let's just looks down a little bit into the base of that triple bar, so he didn't get the most comfortable of jumps. Whoa. Big jump right through the back there over the Hickstead rails at the last for Faminka. So Tana Maria is going to be on 8 faults in the time of 80.39, and that will go behind Bertram Allen, 18th position. Rowan Willis and Cartouche, the 13-year-old by Tangela van der Zoeterwoude. And that's the first time that yellow fence has really reared its head. But when you come into it off a steep turn, it's a real horrible looking fence. It's got that gap underneath it. It's the solid yellow color. It has the light plank on top. It's incredibly skinny. So carrying the 4 faults for the disobedience, still leaving all the rails standing for Rowan Willis and Cartouche. Rowan, who is on the Australian team for Nations Cup action twice this season here in Florida, the Longines FEI Jumping Nations Cup of the United States, and then also at the Winter Equestrian Festival last weekend. And the Australians qualified with a team for Tokyo, so this Nations Cup experience and outing is very, very important for their team. Rowan Willis and Cartouche will end up with the 4 for jumping and 2 for time. Difficult to get around inside the time, having had the disobedience and having to reset. So total of 6 for Cartouche, goes 16th. So Andrew Wells, fresh off a podium finish already in the 2 phase. Andrew with the Itasca Group's Brindis Boogie Boo. Andrew started off the season very well. He was a top 10 finisher at T-Bird, giving him points, and then runner-up with Primo Troy at the Washington leg of the World Cup Series. Andrew just letting discretion be the better part of valor, just taking the longer turn back to the yellow fence. Jumps well through this double. Yeah, because Andrew isn't necessarily riding flat out. And again goes another long turn here back to this fence. and takes the time to set up. I mean, this is him very much thinking about how he wants to ride and prepare this horse for the first round of Nations Cup action on Sunday. And if they do end up being able to go this sort of way, they can pretty much count on a place in the jump-off on Sunday. They are absolutely on the pace and the way of jumping you'd like to see from somebody to progress into the jump-off to try and take more World Cup points. And again, Andrew's in the exact position where a few more World Cup points wouldn't go amiss at all to try and move him into that qualification zone for Las Vegas. So job done, I would say, for Andrew Wells and Brindis Boogie there. Not too worried about the time. 80.59. There are slowest clear, but a very, very polished clear round from Andrew Wells and Brindis Boogie to go 8th. Beat Manley, Beat and Zari, the Swiss Olympic medalist who took the World Cup title actually in Las Vegas back in 2007. Beat, who went to the finals last year off the back of a podium finish at the Wellington leg at Deerage Farms. He's also a winner in recent seasons of the Washington DC leg of World Cup action. Again, sorry, just kicking over the traces a little bit. Would like to go, I think, a little bit faster. But Beat being very deliberate here. Whilst he's riding the inside turns, he is not going super fast. Again, you can sometimes be deceived by Beat because he is so smooth, but he's not just letting the horse run and travel. You can see that very clearly from his hands and his body. But it is clear, Beat Manley and Zari pretty much doing what Andrew Wells and Brindis Boogie did before them. He goes into 6th, though, in a time of 74.81. Andrew Ramsey are next to go. Andrew, who is in that qualification zone, 6th on the league, 30 points for him, including a runner-up spot in Las Vegas, a World Cup qualifier he has previously won. Andrew with the Stranger Group's Stranger by Staccato. So Chloe Reid is our leader, 63.23. Nobody has even got in the same country as that time. Connor Swale, 68.97, and Andrew Ramsey isn't going to be challenging anyway because with the faults, we already have 9 clears. We have 2 on-time faults, and Hunter Holloway is not slow as fastest for faulter in 12th, 4 in 68.87. Now actually, Andrew was on a very good time, but has just gone out wide around the Hickstead rails. And it's actually not about the time you get to the Longines vertical because it's very similar going inside or outside, but it's about shaping the next turn back to the triple bar. By going inside the Hickstead rails, you can shorten the distance back to the triple bar. 69.71, not a bad time at all, and that was slowing down, as we said, for Andrew Ramsey and Stranger. but it will go behind Hunter Holloway, 13th position. Karina Fredericks. Karina, who was a rider in the top tour at the Salzburg Indoor Show in Austria, jumping throughout the Winter Equestrian Festival in Wellington this spring. Karina with Iron Horse Farms' Jarlis van de Bergdelheuve. I don't think we've seen too many problems up there at the Ocala horse properties, but just pulls a rail there. Karina Fredericks and Jarlis. And then the live oak goes as well to put them on 8 faults. This double 2. Suddenly it's 12 faults for Karina Fredericks and Jarlis van der Bergdelheuve. Twelve jumping faults, 2 time faults as well. So 90.58 on the clock. Those time penalties coming in at the rate of 1 for each commenced period of 4 seconds over the time allowed of 84. So 90.58 does translate to 2 time penalties, total of 14. So Erin Ballard is our next to go. Erin, who represented Canada at the World Games in 2018 and at last summer's Pan American Games. Erin with Diable. Erin is a Canadian rider. We were just talking a little while ago about Vanessa Mannix, who's on 25 or 26 points. Erin is also on 25 points. So in terms of Canadian qualification, this is an important weekend as well for those two. Looking at point scoring, Erin is another rider in the field to be a winner of the Maclay final. We had Hunter Holloway just a short while ago as well in the ring, who's a Maclay winner in the past, that ASPCA Maclay medal, the equitation finals at the National Horse Show. Back to the triple bar, 63.23. I can't see really anyone getting close to that. Of course, now that I've said it, somebody will come in and blitz it in a second. But at the moment, Erin Ballard shows that it's pretty tough. She is almost exactly 10 seconds slower. 6th position for Erin in 73.52. Yeah, Devon this year 4th at Gold Cup and 3rd at Deerage with Eddie Blue, his World Games and World Cup Finals horse from the past. Devon here with Market Street's Casper's Lucino. Casper was his World Cup horse in Washington when they placed top 10, helping Devon currently to a 21-point total in the World Cup Series, which again means that this weekend, and a good result, a fair few points is critical for Devon if he wants to go and try and take Eddie Blue to improve on the second place finish they had in the World Cup finals back in Paris 2 years ago. Devon is always very fast, and his horses really try for him, but he is at that slight disadvantage. He rides in the bitless bridles, and therefore he doesn't have that ultimate control, particularly for some of these tight rollback turns. And here I wouldn't say that he's going all out, but his horses are always brave. Like when he asks them for a big angle across a vertical like that, they do give it to him. 63.23 is gone, but Connorswell 68.97 is also gone. How close will he end up? 70.52 on the clock. That will go fourth. Our top three still all sub 70 seconds. Devon Ryan is half a second over and goes into fourth place there with Casper's Lucino. So Andre Tima, a regular with us here at Live Oak, runner-up back in 2017 and runner-up in the World Cup again last year. Andre with Quilisto, probably Celisto, as it is by Celestrial. Andre's having a bit of a cut at this. Just keep an eye, because Chloe Reid just never took her foot off the pedal. She was on it right the way around. Every stride mattered for Chloe, and that is why she is those 5 3/4 seconds faster than her nearest competitor, Connorswell. Only 3 riders have got below 70 seconds. Natalie Dean by only 1/4 of a second, Connorswell by 1.03 seconds. Chloe Reid is 6.5 seconds under 70. This is not a bad time, but I don't think it can catch Chloe Reid. No, it can't. What can he do, though, against the 68.97 set by Connorswell for second? Andre Tima is going to, yes, go into second place, 67.75. So they close a little bit of the difference up to the hometown girl, Chloe Reid, but Andre Tima and Celisto into second as things currently stand. So a change in our top 4 as Andre Tima goes in there between Chloe Reid and Connorswell. Natalie Dean for the United States of America drops to 4th, all sub 70 seconds. So Margie Goldston Engel with Gladewin's partners DCAS. Margie was on the winning Nations Cup team at Deerage just a couple of weeks ago for the United States. Also has had a good World Cup season. 7th on the standings at the moment, 29 points for Margie. But she is not resting on her laurels. She's here to try and win a few more points at the moment, comfortably in the qualification zone. DCAS just jumps at that vertical going in. So the US Olympian, Margie Goldston Engel, finds herself on 4, and suddenly the plan changes as she starts to go some of these outside turns. She certainly gave it a hard tap going past us at that water tray, but it stays in place. Just the 4 for Margie. She heads to home. Over our 4 falters, we have 2 of those, sub 70 seconds. 15th for Hunter Holloway, Andrew Ramsey in 16th. And here's 4 faults in 79 seconds. That goes well down the order into 20th for Margie Engel. So, winner already today, Jonathan Corrigan, with his own and Deborah Wyckoff's Lochnawatta Indigo. A combination that were top 10 in the American Gold Cup at Old Salem in September. Jonathan was on the Irish Nations Cup team last year in the Longines series at T-Bird. And we saw him jumping at his most local show, the Hampton Classic, last September as well. So Conor Swale, he went into the lead, was on course to maybe make it an Irish double for the day, but Jonathan Corrigan could actually make it a double in his own right, having won our 2 phase earlier on, but that's not to be, as he has the back rail off the Live Oak Oxer crossing the arena. So Chloe Reid remains our leader one more time, and we have just a little bit over half a dozen. 7 riders left to start in this Longines World Ranking class. .73.78 on the clock for John Corrigan and 4 faults. So that will go down the order. That's going to go just behind Jens Bachmann into 18th position. William Simpson and Chaco P are next to go. Will Simpson Stables. Chaco P. Will, US Olympian back in 2008, 4 times a World Cup finalist, and sits this season 4th on the Western standings with 34 points. So has a great chance of going to the finals as one of the riders from our West Coast League. Will, unfortunately, the horse just touches lightly on that back rail, and they're on spring-loaded cups, the back rails. It's a safety issue that came into our sport several years ago, and it's a breakaway under the downward pressure. He has the water tray down as well. It's only gone once or twice in the class. It's a big square oxer down in the corner, and the water tray very similar in colouring to the poles. So 8 faults in just over 72 seconds for US Olympian Will Simpson and Chaco P. Jenny McAllister now with the Vicksburg studs of Sweden's Batida PJ. Jenny is a little bit further off the pace on the Western standings, 29 points, but that's 8th on the Western standings. We mentioned 3 US riders qualify from the West Coast Sub-League. Batida had a top 5 during the World Cup qualifier week at Deerage, and also a speed class top 5 during Nations Cup week at Deerage in the last month or so. So if they wanted to, they'd have the potential to challenge here for a decent enough placing, because they've shown prowess against the clock, and in particular on a grass arena as well. Just under 80 seconds, and with the rail for Jenny McAllister and Batida, so 4 faults. And that's going to go just behind Margie Engel, outside the top 20, 22nd position so far. Nikki Gallagher is our next to go. Nikki owns and rides Java's Miss Jordan. Nikki, who jumped here 2 years ago, jumped Upperville last year as well, the Upperville Colton Horse Show, the oldest horse show in America. And Nikki also had several Grand Prix results at Tryon in North Carolina over their autumn season. Nikki, who wears the green ribbon for the Kevin Babington Foundation. Kevin, who was injured in that fall at the Hampton Classic last year, and as a community, the show jumping world and US equestrian world have really motivated themselves to support Kevin and his family. And actually, as an announcement today about the newly constituted high performance committees for Ireland in this Olympic year going into Tokyo, and Kevin was named as an advisor to the Irish show jumping high performance team. Kevin, an Olympian in his own right, actually just off the individual podium at the Athens Games back in 2004. Nicky's first international record on his card as well was as an eventer at Tattersalls in Ireland a few years ago, before he came out and based himself here in the US. This is not a bad time in terms of challenging, but Chloe Reid still 63.23, has the whip hand, I think, in this Longines class. Nicky's got to brave it all here at the last. He's just going to miss out, but it's very close. One of the best efforts so far. Clear in 65.28 for Nicky Gallagher and Java's Miss Jordan, the Irish sport horse by Louis Dam out of an OBOS quality mare. So that gives us 2 Irish in the top 5. Nicky Gallagher in second, Conor Swale in fourth. But Nicky is just 2 seconds almost on the nose slower than Chloe Reid. Might have just scrubbed a little bit of time in that corner. Well, speaking of Chloe Reid, Lewis P is her ride now. We'll see whether she's going to go quite all out with Lewis, and the decision is made for her with an early rail there at the Fleur de Lis at number 2 and the Lugano Diamonds. But Lewis P would be her World Cup qualifier horse for Sunday, the horse that gave her the Grand Prix win at Wiesbaden last year, the Longines Pfingstturnier at Wiesbaden in Germany. Well, so fast earlier on with Super Shuttle, the 9-year-old Staccato Speed horse, but this Grand Prix horse unfortunately just doesn't deliver the goods today. 12 jumping faults on day one of the show here in the World Cup pre-qualifier. So Adam Prudhomme, Adam who's got 20 points on the card, a win here this weekend could move him straight up to 40 points. Adam, who when he won the world ranking class here several years ago was still riding for France, following his father's nationality, but declared then for the United States of America in recent years. Plain base sales, Romeo de Villeret by Mr. Blue for Adam. And he is just hunting down each and every one of these fences. If he's clear, he'll be a threat. Yeah, 47, 48 seconds on this turn. It just goes out a little bit deep here towards the vertical. Might have wasted a second or two there. 63-23 leads. And again, he just has to throw it all at the last if he wants to be competitive with that. He just is a little bit more conservative to the last. 65-78. It is good enough for third place, just a shade behind Nicky Galligan. So Chloe Reid, Chloe who actually jumped, 13th to go in a class of just over 40, still holds the lead at 63-23. Nicky Galligan recently into second. Adam Prudhomme recently into third. Andre Thieme for Germany is pushed down to fourth on his time of 67.75. And just off that graphic, Connor Swale in fifth with GK Coco Chanel. So Sarah Siegel, Sarah with Chimera. Sarah, career top 5 finisher in the Longines Nations Cup Grand Prix of Mexico at Jalapa. Jumped the Grand Prix Tour at the Hampton Classic last September and currently sits top 10 on the World Cup standings, but she won't be top 10 in this class. With 14 clears to hand, she has the Lugano Diamonds down for an early 4 on course. Just a bit of a crash through that live oak fence, unfortunately for Sarah and Chimera. So sitting on 12. So Sarah Siegel and Kimira end up with a total of 20 jumping faults and just one left to challenge Chloe Reid for the win here. I did a number on it, but it's still just 4 faults. Hunter Holloway and VDL Bravo S will be the last to show in this Longines World Ranking class, the pre-qualifier for the World Cup on Sunday. Hunter, who is still our fastest 4-faulter in this competition with her first ride, 17th position, that was a time of 68.87. Now, if she could replicate that time and be clear, she would go top 5. Pushing Connor Swale down the order, but all to play for, 63.23. This is the last person to see whether they can catch Chloe Reid's time. Set just over a quarter of the way through the draw. Chloe has been our leader for about 75% of the starting field. I would say just off the eye that Hunter Holloway is not going that fast. Certainly not Chloe Reid fast to take on 63.23. 14 clears at the moment. The prize money down to 11th, so the 11 best clears, which takes us down to Bert Manley at the moment. And Hunter assures us of just those 14 clears by taking the rail. Oh, and we had this problem earlier on, quite early in the competition, where a horse just found itself a little bit overfaced and found running along the face of that vertical to be the easier option than actually taking it on. This is a tough go as well, because as well as the 4 penalties for the disobedience, because the clock had to be stopped because she had disturbed the fence, 6 seconds are added into the time, which will make it very, very difficult to get around inside the 84 necessarily. So the clock restarts and they carry on towards home, carrying 8 jumping faults as our last to go. And 8 for jumping, 1 for time it is in the final analysis for Hunter Holloway and VDL Bravo S. So it's a win for Chloe Reid right here on home soil with her first ride, the 9-year-old staccato mare Super Shuttle. The awards coming up, of course, tomorrow here at the 30th anniversary Live Oak International. We start with the competition that is 30 years old, the carriage driving, the CDE, combined driving event, with the marathon starting its first section at 9 a.m. And we will be seeing the first carriage in the first obstacle at about 20 minutes to 10. So 9:40 in the morning. We go through the marathon with the intermediates, building up towards those USEF National Championship FEI divisions. And we have a jumper class tomorrow as well at 1:35. Another world ranking competition, the Longines World Ranking, for $36,600, just like this class was. And that goes to Chloe Reid and Super Shuttle, Nicky Galligan in second, Adam Prudhomme third, Andre Thiemer fourth, Connor Swale is in fifth, Natalie Dean and Jill van Quackenbeek. Then it was Devon Ryan with his Washington World Cup horse Casper's Casino, Jordan Coyle, Adam Prudhomme with 2 clears, 2 inside the top 10, Aaron Ballard in 10th, Bert Manley just outside that top 10 with Zari, but a very steady round from him. He was looking more towards Sunday. Andre Thiemer with another one, double clear for Andre, his 2 horses as well. That's always a good combat indicator. Vanessa Mannix and Andrew Wells and Brindis Boogie, what a lovely round of jumping they had. Steady on the clock, but a very, very assured, foot perfect almost, clear round for Andrew to be our slowest clear and take 14th spot. So awards coming up. to wrap up this second day of competition, the first in the Open Jumper Tour from the 30th Live Oak International.
Well, with our top piece assembled, we get our prize-giving ceremony underway as we step forward and congratulate Chloe Reid and Super Shuttle as our winner. Meeting her down there in the winner's circle, Chester Webber, and also her mum, Julia Reid, out there as well, saying congratulations there to Chloe. Great win for her on the opening day for the jumping athletes at Live Oak International for 2020. And then we head down the line and congratulate the rest of our athletes. Finishing in second today, just missing out, Nikki Gallahan for Ireland, Java's Miss Jordan. Moving down into third place, Adam Prudhomme, Romeo. Andre Tima takes fourth today, Celesto for Germany. Then we congratulate Connor Swale, finishing in fifth, GK Coco Chanel. Natalie Dean takes the sixth today for the USA with Jewel. And it's into seventh place, Devin Ryan for the USA, Kaspers Lucino. Then finally completing that lineup for Ireland, Jordan Coyle, Centrico Volo. Thanks once again to Chester, thanks to Julia and the family, of course, making that prize-giving ceremony for us here this afternoon. One final thing left to do, of course, before we send them on that victory gallop, and it is to salute our winner with the playing of our national anthem. So, ladies and gentlemen, please rise as we say a very well done here this afternoon to Chloe Reid of the USA. Well, a great victory here this afternoon. Chloe Reid for the USA will now lead us on that victory gallop. Congratulations, Chloe Reid, our winner, Super Shuttle. And now we send our winner round once again, all on her own, for the home team, for the home nation, Chloe Reid, Super Shuttle. Well, and Chloe joins us now for that official photograph here this afternoon, but a huge thank you to everyone who's come out to join us here at Live Oak. Lots of sport still to enjoy for the next few days. Make sure you come back and join us again. But from the whole team, have a great afternoon.